Hello everybody, my name is Khatleesi, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. If you're new to the series, I have a playlist dedicated to this series over on my channel, as well as one more series at the moment, that being Stardew Valley. More series are to come, so if you do enjoy the content, your like and subscription are greatly appreciated. Now, let's get back to the series. So we will continue. And this is it. Yes, let's continue to save data. The British Empire. Wow, it's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So, I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. How did the Professor of Medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. The cause of death. Well, obviously that was Ryunosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find a piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now. Post-mortem report, that must be it. Time of death, 19th of November, shortly after 2 p.m. Cause of death, single bullet fired at close range. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. So, to present, we are going to press X.
Yes!
Well, according to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile. I definitely feel like I'm being told the same thing right now because I couldn't even read it myself. That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes, that's right. The, post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. The photographic print of the victim has been entered into the court record. So that's photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. Detail is incredible. Very well. I am satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better apprise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. Ugh, this is it then. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes, clearly you're the defense lawyer today, not me. But that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Ah, of course. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asuji, I must not must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of evidence is rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. So here's a butler. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course, my name is Satoru Hosonaga. I am the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called La Carnaval. Ahem, ahem. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. Well, it really should. As everyone knows, Capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery, 3 days ago. Understood. Hosonaga-san, you will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. Perspiring maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We had few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. Ahem. It was when I was in the kitchen, putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student.
Yes.
Hold on, let me just clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor, I didn't shoot him.
Objection!
I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. But next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, Defendant Naruhodo. Don't worry, Ryonosuke. You'll have your chance to fight back. How's this headband flowing in the wind? For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. If I may confirm one point later, standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here in court today? Yes, without question. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around the table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Huh. Wait, what did he just say? There was no one else around that table. What's the matter, Ryonosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do? Wait and see. I desperately want to say something, but I was told not to interject. We'll talk about it later. Ryonosuke? If your parents tell you to study, you're the kind of man who would diligently get to work, aren't you? I suppose I am. I'd never have gone to Yume University otherwise. But you can't just always follow the rules in life, you know. If you don't say what you have to say right now, you'll seriously regret it when you're found guilty. Alright, you scared me. I won't forget that piece of advice in a hurry. And there is something I want to say. I'm just going to shut my eyes and say it.
Yes!
Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table.
Objection!
Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all? But I'm sure of what I saw. Hosonaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy. No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. Ahem, I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please, have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. Ah, a sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, I presume. That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well, is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. The waiter's business card has been entered into the court record. So, the court has now heard a precis of the case. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant. The only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense, if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial, the prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual about these peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikotoba said it, and so has the judge in the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryonosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then, we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is. That's right. Indeed. Prosecutor Achi, please continue with proceedings. Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. Ugh. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Very well. Officer, bring forth the witnesses at once. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Isa Nosa reporting for duty, sir. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing names. Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the efflorescence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rasute, a humble premises in the 2nd District, Kyuryo Koritukuta, at your service. An antique dealer and a soldier. What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be the diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon, and, not infrequently, converse with interested parties regarding the curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. You and me both. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at La Carnaval. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets La Carnaval because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this most atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearms, sir. This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. So, this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was tracking. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir? Yes, sir. Standing by ready to report, sir. Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. Witness testimony. What the witness saw. I was ingesting a regulation beef steak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. That's it? Well, so, you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university cadet, sir. The cruel and unforgivable enemy. What times we live in, when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day. But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Ryonosuke? Yes. All I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. After I'd said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant, when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it. So, I bent down, and just as I was picking it up, bang. Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. There is. Ryonosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine. Do it now. As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Certainly, the testimony the court has just heard estimates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict. Oh? What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? The defense demands its right to a cross-examination. Dear me. Let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. Huh? How did he know? The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination? The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Kazuma is so commanding. That he is. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryonosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means what that soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it, and the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Now, let's go, Ryonosuke. Don't let them beat you. Alright then. It's all or nothing. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, And from the back, the cowardly little weasel. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. Ugh, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. Listen, Ryonosuke. We know there are lies lurking in these statements. It's time to expose them. I understand that. The question is, how? Like I said before, the key to this is using evidence that you've collected. You can examine and present evidence while a witness giving testimony by pressing R. Go through each witness statement and details about each piece of evidence and compare all the facts. Somewhere in there, you'll find something that doesn't add up. In other words, an inconsistency. An inconsistency? When you find a statement and a piece of evidence that seem to contradict each other, present your evidence with X and rip the witness apart. Just be careful, because if you assert a contradiction that has no basis, you'll be given a penalty. If you're dealt too many penalties, the defense's case will fall apart, and you'll receive a guilty verdict. So, that's it. Peruse the evidence in the court record and find an inconsistency with a witness's statement. Alright, I'll give it a try. You can hear the witness statements over and over again, as many times as you like. So, keep your head and be measured in your attack. Good luck, partner. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at a restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Okay, let's look at some evidence. We've got photograph of the victim. Okay. Actually, so that's the steak right there. He's right behind. Okay. Waiter's business card. So, the man would have been sitting alone, apparently, over here. Well, the way I see it, right? He's saying that Ryonosuke shot him from behind, but Ryonosuke was around here to the man's left, while I can see the stake in the photograph of the man right behind him. Post-mortem report. Single bullet fired at close range. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. And then we got a university collar pin right here. Proof that I'm a student at the Imperial Yumei University. I always wear it on the collar of my uniform jacket. Okay, I want to present the photograph. That statement contradicts the facts as demonstrated by this evidence. Oh, he's shaking his head. As far as I can tell, there's nothing untoward about this evidence. But that... Pull yourself together. You look as though your eyes are about to pop out of your head. Oh no. Oh, I can't help that. It's just my look. Having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. Magnifying glass. Okay, so I can get rid of that, and I can just look at it. That's where he was sitting, but it doesn't show me where the others are sitting. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. Photograph of the victim. Maybe I should take a magnifying glass, take a look around. Well, you know what? I see a wound right here, and he's saying that he was shot from behind. So, I'm going to bring that back up right now. Black uniform varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back the cowardly little weasel. I figured it out. Present the evidence. That's it. That's it right there. Everybody's going silent. What? What are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination? Trusting some photographic print in my mustache. Inconsistency, sir. I mean, yes. There's a clear inconsistency here. What nonsense. What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, his friend's gonna speak up, isn't he? That there's no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. This is so frustrating. There we go. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. Kazuma, what? What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the photographic print presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant Isa Nosa? Yes, sir. What, sir? The statement you just made was this. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir.
Yes!
Perfect. But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? Because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Ah! Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that's the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? Oh, that little kid creeping up on his back. What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious La Carnaval steak, sir. What? The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Nosa, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. That's absurd. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There's no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Kya? There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial, just from that one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there, he was pointing a firearm directly at the victim's back. But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? Myself? I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Treasure? Indeed. The Hoi era koban, my prized coin. On each occasion when I visit that restaurant, it is my habitude to place in my bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop, Rasute, in the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you. On the day under scrutiny, it was to the military man that I preferred my Hoi treasure. Believed that he would purchase such a rare find, I did not, but I was presented with little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was there no more. It simply vanished. The koban vanished? Hunting around under the table, I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there. And then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoi treasure. Nothing could distract me. Out of interest, did you find a coin in the end? No. I see. That lamentable day, the precious Hoi koban was lost to me. No doubt, some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself. As I'm sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels, it must be to the British. It would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Achi? Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make. Explain. Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryonosuke Naruhodo. What? So, I'm not quite sure how far I can go within this particular scene here, but I believe I would like to end things here. It's getting a little long, almost at the 40-minute point. So, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed the episode, and subscribe if you would like to see more of my content. I wish you all a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Peace.